Hello and welcome back. This is another 5th and 6th grade decimals video. In this video, our focus is going to be on how to divide decimals by whole numbers. Okay, here is our first example. We're going to take the number 24.2 and we're going to divide it by 2. So we're going to go ahead and set this up for the standard algorithm. We're going to take that 24.2 and put it here. And then we're going to put a division bracket around that and put the 2 that we're dividing by on the outside. So for most of this video, I'm going to show you how to be doing this using standard algorithm division. If you like to do division a different way, that's totally fine and completely up to you. But for most of this video, I'm going to show you how to do it using the standard algorithm. So when I have a decimal and I'm dividing it by a whole number, what I need to do is take care of that decimal placement first, and then I can divide like I normally would. The way that I do that is I see where the decimal is in the problem and I place it up into this answer space exactly where above where it is in the problem. So I'm going to go ahead and put a decimal up into that answer space right above this one right here between the 4 and the 2. Then if I want to, I can erase that decimal or I can just go ahead and divide ignoring it. So 2 fits into 2 one time. So I'll put a 1 up here. 1 times 2 is 2. And when I subtract that, I get 0 left over. So in case you're curious, I'm following the steps of the standard algorithm for longer division: divide, multiply, subtract, and bring down. If that's something that is unfamiliar to you or you need a little bit extra practice with, check out some of my previous videos I've done on dividing bigger numbers like this. Okay, so then I'm going to go ahead and bring down the 4. 2 goes into 4 2 times, so I'll put that up here. 2 times 2 is 4. When I subtract it, I get 0 left over. So now I need to bring down the 2. 2 fits into 2 one time, so I'll put that there. 1 times 2 is 2. And when I subtract it, I get 0 left over. So now I know I'm finished because I have no more numbers to bring down and I have no remainder. There's nothing left over here. So my final answer on this is going to be 12.1. That decimal was automatically placed before we started dividing, so I didn't need to worry about it, and it's already part of the answer when I finished. So 12.1. Okay, here's our next example. We're going to take 59.4 and divide it by 33. So again, I'm going to go ahead and put that 59.4 here, put a division bracket around that, and put a 33 on the outside. Okay, so first step is going to be to place the decimal above where it is in the problem into the answer space. So I'm going to put this decimal up here, right there. Now, if I want to, I can erase this or I can just go ahead and divide, just ignoring the decimal. So 33 does not fit into 5, so I'll put a 0 there, but 33 does fit into 59 probably once. So I'm going to put that there. 1 times 33 is 33. When I subtract this, I get a 6 here and I get a 2 here. My next step is going to be to bring down the 4. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And now I need to figure out how many times 33 fits into 264. That's a little bit harder to do off the top of my head. So I'm going to try multiplying 33 by some different numbers till I find something that is close to 264, but doesn't go past 264. Since 33 times 10 would give me 330, I think I'm going to go close to 10, but not go over 10 or not 10. It's got to be less than 10, but kind of close to that. So I'm going to go ahead and try 9. So let's try 9 and see what that gets me. 3 times 9 is 27. And then 3 times 9 is 27 again. Plus 2 would be 29. Okay, so 297, that's a little bit too much. That's past 264, but I am close. So I'm going to try 8 this time. Let me erase those. Okay, so I'm going to try 8. 3 times 8 is 24, so I'll put a 4 here and a 2 up here. Then 3 times 8 is again 24, but I'd have to add 2, so that would make that 26. And look, I got exactly the number we're looking for, 264. Perfect. So I'm going to put the 8 up here. 8 times 33, as we just figured out, is 264. When I subtract those, I have 0 left over. So that's how I know I'm done, because I have no remainder and there are no more numbers to bring down. The final answer for this is going to be 1.8. Okay, here is our next example. We're going to take 245.31 and divide it by 6. So I'm going to go ahead and write out 245.31, put a division bracket around it, and put a 6 on the outside. So 6, oh, wait, before I start, I got to move this decimal up into the answer space right above where it is in the problem. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then I can go ahead and erase this decimal. 6 does not fit into 2, so I'm going to put a 0 there, but it does fit into 24 4 times, so I'm going to put a 4 there. 6 times 4 is exactly 24. So when I subtract that, I get 0 left over. When I bring down the 5, I know that 6 does not fit into 5. That would go 0 times, so I'm going to put a 0 here. Then I'm going to also drop down this number. So this is a little bit of a shortcut, because if I was going to do 0 times 6, I would end up with 0. 5 minus 0 is 5. So this is kind of a shortcut. Again, if you want to see more examples of this, check out some of my previous videos I've done on division. So 6 goes into 53. Let's see, 6 times 9 is 54. So that's pretty close. Instead, I'm going to go with 6 times 8. So I'm going to put an 8 here. That's going to be 48. When I subtract this, I have to regroup. So that becomes 4 and this becomes 13, giving me 5 here. And then 4 minus 4 is nothing. So I'm going to go ahead and bring down the 1. And then we know that 6 will probably go into 51 8 times again, because we know that that's 48 and that's pretty close to 51. So I'm going to do 8 again. I'm going to do 48 here. Subtract that, which would give me 3 left over down there. Now, this is something that comes up when you're dividing with decimals. We know we're done when we have no remainder and we have no more numbers to bring down. Well, we have no more numbers to bring down here, but we do have a remainder. So what do? What we have to do is we have to add a 0 to the remainder. So that goes from being 3 to 30. And we have to keep dividing until we get to a point where either the decimal stops or the teacher or the assignment says you can round it to some place value. So in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and add the 0. And 6 goes into 30 exactly 5 times. 5 times 6 is 30. So I'm going to kind of swing it this way just so I have room. And now I have 0 left over. So now I can stop because I have 0 left over and no more numbers to bring down. That would make the answer 40.885. So that's a new thing about division when you're starting to deal with decimals, is now you can't have remainders, so you have to keep going until the number either ends or you can round it to a particular place value. You do that by adding a 0 to the remainder, and then you keep following the steps. Okay, here is our next example where we're going to take 97.08 and divide it by 2. So I'm going to go ahead and put the 97.08 here, put a division bracket around it, and put a 2 on the outside. Before I start, I'll put a decimal up into the answer space right above where it is in the problem, and then I'll erase the decimal in the problem. So 2 fits into 9 4 times. So I put a 4 up there and an 8 here. When I subtract that, I get 1. I bring down the 7 to make it 17. 2 will fit into 17 8 times. 8 times 2 is 16. When I subtract 1, so now I'm going to bring down the 0, making that 10. 2 fits into 10 5 times, so I'll put a 5 up there. 5 times 2 is 10. So I'll put that there, 0 left over, bring down the 8. 2 will fit into 8 4 times. 4 times 2 is 8. And when I subtract it, 0 left over. Okay, so now I know I'm done. There are no more numbers to bring down, and I have 0 left over, no remainder. The final answer here would be 48.54. Okay, here is our next example and our last example for today's video. We're going to take 8,793.4 and divide it by 3. So I'm going to go ahead. Oh, and there's also a note here that we can round it to the nearest tenth. That means probably this will be a decimal we're going to have to add. We're going to get some remainders. We're going to have to add some zeros. But I'll show you what that looks like when you're being allowed to round it to a place value, when you can stop and when you can round. So let's start with 8,793 0.4 inside a division bracket and 3 on the outside. Okay, I'm actually going to move that down because I realize as I'm doing it, I might want to have room to put my answers. Okay, so I'm going to move that down. There we go. Okay, again, put an decimal up into your answer space before you begin. Then you can either leave the decimal, the original decimal there and just ignore it, or you can erase it. So 3 fits into 8 twice. That's going to give us 6. 2 left over, bring down the 7. 3 goes into 27 9 times. That's exactly 27. So when I subtract it, I get 0. Bring down the 9. 3 fits into 9 3 times. 3 times 3 is exactly 9. So 0 left over. Bring down the 3. 3 fits into 3 1 time. 1 times 3 is 3. So when I subtract it, 0 left over. Bring down the 4. Okay, now I might switch to the other side of the screen just because I'm running out of room, but 3 fits into 4 1 time. So I'm going to put that 1 here. 1 times 3 is 3. So I'm going to move this over here. So I'm going to have the 4 here and subtract the 3. The 3, or 4 minus 3, leaves us with 1. So I actually do have a remainder here. So this is where we're going to have to add a 0 and keep going until we get to enough place values that we can round to the nearest tenth. The tenths place is right here. So we want to be able to round to that place value, which means we need one more place value so we can round that. So I'm going to go ahead and add a 0 to the remainder. 3 fits into 10 3 times. So I'm going to put a 3 here. 3 times 3 is 9. When I subtract, I get 1 left over. So again, I can stop here because all I need to do is round it to the nearest tenth. So all I needed was the number that would go in the hundredths place to help me know to round. So I'm going to go over here and see what this number is. Since this number is 4 or less, that means we're going to let the tenths place rest. That means it's going to stay the same. So this is going to remain a 1, but we're going to get rid of this. That's going to turn to a 0. Again, if you want some extra practice rounding, I've done previous videos on this that you can check out. So final answer here is going to be 2,931.1 after being rounded to the nearest tenth. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you in another video soon.